Hi there, business owner, and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, the place where we go beyond the numbers and dive into strategies to help you build a better business one step at a time. I'm your host, Stephanie, a multi-award-winning entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the bookkeeping and accountancy world. If you're a business owner looking to streamline, grow, and get back the time that you deserve, you're in the right place. We're tackling real-world problems, answering tough questions, and digging deep into business-building secrets in just 15 minutes each week. So are you ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity? Then let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, your go-to place for 15 minutes of CPD certified motivation, inspiration, and education to help you build a better business. And here we are at episode 148. We're nearly at the big 150. I'm so excited. If you have any ideas of what I should cover in episode 150, do go to the links in the show notes, or find me on ABCS UK on all social platforms. Drop me a message. Let me know what you think I should cover for episode 150. It's got to be something special, right? Finally, January is nearly over. The emails are picking up, clients are back online, and Q1 is about to do what Q1 always does and get busy very, very quickly. Now, for accountants and bookkeepers, we often say that January is the busiest time of year for us, but the minute 1st of February hits, all those people that submitted tax returns last year that don't want to leave it to the last minute this year or got super stressed out about them will start picking up their emails again. So today's episode is about systems, not shiny tech, not complicated setups, the systems that stop your business from feeling chaotic when things start to speed up too. Because when businesses get busy, the cracks don't suddenly appear. They're exposed and you can really start to see the little holes in the business bucket. Most business owners don't struggle because they lack motivation. I mean, we started businesses, right? I'm a business owner too. We started businesses because we wanted to do whatever our business does. They tend to struggle though because they rely on motivation instead of systems. And the number one problem is keeping everything in their heads. The minute you get things down into paper, when you have systems, things absolutely change when it comes to building a business. When systems are missing, it can often show up as late invoices, either going out or coming in, chasing for information, repeating the same conversations, forgetting what was agreed, working longer hours just to stay afloat. And all of this isn't a personal failing, it's just a structure problem. Motivation comes and goes as business owners, even though we love what we do. But the systems are there always. And I often think systems are your backup. They're the thing that means that if you forget to do something, it's almost like your to-do list or your checklist. Those systems and processes mean things are consistent, mean things are scalable, and means that you can build a better business. So let's start with the basics. As a bookkeeper and accountant, of course, I'm going to start with invoicing. You should know exactly when you invoice, how you invoice, what happens if someone doesn't pay. Hoping people pay on time is not a system, and that's really going to affect and damage the business. You should have a system of whether you invoice at the point of proposals being accepted, you invoice at the point the order is put in, you invoice at the end of every month, you invoice at the beginning of every month, whether you use accounting software to do it, whether you have a template set up, whether you send a text to somebody. However you invoice, we definitely not recommend just a text, but how you invoice, the procedure can change too. And most importantly, of the 3 different invoicing systems you need, what happens if someone doesn't pay? What does your credit control look like? Do you have a bookkeeper that does it for you? Do you have a process of automated reminders? Do you have a process of when do you pick up the phone and start calling? So in every client that we work with at ABCS UK, we have a slightly different credit control system. Some clients will get incredibly offended if you pick up the phone and call them. Some clients will get incredibly offended if you send them an email. Some clients need their customers to get a WhatsApp notification because they're out and about on site. They don't look at their emails often enough. Some only look at their emails and won't deal with you on the phone. All of these things need to be in a system and a process that is streamlined across your whole business. And if you're a business owner with multiple businesses, those systems might be slightly different for each business, or they might be the same across them all. But either way, a system needs to be in place for when you invoice, a system for how you invoice, and a system for what happens if someone doesn't pay. I'd also like to add that having a system in place for how you get paid is also quite important. So whether that's a payment link, a bank transfer, cash, or a check, those systems need to be written down so that you know how these things work. Often they get put at the bottom of your invoice, so this is how you would make payment to us. But occasionally it's something that you would use tap to pay, for example. So some accounting software, Xero, for example, have a tap to pay option now, where you can literally open your phone and they can tap their phone to your phone and you get paid instantly. If you are a mobile hairdresser or a plumber, then going out to site to clients and doing it there and then, it's going to make your life so much easier. Then you don't need a credit control system, because the credit control system is payment is upfront before you do the service, or payment is done at the time of delivery. Second, cash flow visibility. I know the last 3 episodes I've talked about cash flow, but it's so important to help you build a better business. You don't need a 12-month forecast, but you do need to know what's coming in and going out for the next 30 to 60 days. Having that cash flow visibility, knowing what's coming in, knowing what's due to go out, can just make sure that you have that security if it's a slightly slower month or a slightly busier month, or when things get really busy, you know where you are if you're looking to invest in new equipment, new stock, new software. Third, expense tracking. Now, this is a thing that blows my mind that so many business owners don't know what to do. There's an app called Apron Capture. Go through your bookkeeper or accountant or drop me a message if it's something you want. It's £5 plus VAT a month. And that gives you a portal where you can take photographs of your receipts as you put fuel in, take a photo. If you prefer WhatsApp, you can have a WhatsApp number and you just send via WhatsApp your pictures of your receipts and your invoices. And then for your digital ones, you can forward it to a unique email address and everything is kept in one place. You know where everything is. And when it comes to doing your VAT return or doing your bookkeeping or handing that information over to a bookkeeper, it's all there in one place for a small monthly fee, something that streamlines your process, your procedure, and then that becomes your system. Every time you make a payment, you put something into Apron, whether that's forwarded via email, WhatsApp, or uploading via the mobile app. Not dumped into a folder and dealt with when panic sets in, the VAT return's due, or something needs doing urgently, and you can't find that receipt from fuel you put in 10.5 months ago. A system as simple as that doesn't just help your finances, it reduces anxiety because you're not guessing. It reduces that panic when VAT comes up because you know you're on top of it. And it's not just the finance area of your business that needs systems. The operational side of your business needs systems too. These systems protect your energy, and as a business owner growing a business, this is so important. Client onboarding should be consistent. Same information, same expectations, same next steps every time. When you are taking on a new client, what is the process? What is the journey that they go on from saying, yes, I want to work with you, to being onboarded, to having them as a client on board? If you're a product-based business, that journey is going to look slightly different. But what does that journey look like from reaching your sales page, from reaching your web shop, from stepping foot into your store to make a purchase? What does that journey look like? And that should be a system. That should be a template that is followed time and time again. And the thing is these things are going to change and tweak over time. Systems are constantly evolving. You'll find better ways. You'll find more economic ways. If you've got staff on board, they're probably going to look at your system and go, well, actually, if you do it this way, it's much easier. Or if we do it this way, it's much easier for me because of X, Y, and Z. Listen to your staff. Change the procedures. This is a working document. This is something that changes constantly as the business grows and scales and evolves. It might be just you in your business right now. When you take a member of staff on board, how much easier is it going to be to train them up if you have all your systems and processes down on a document somewhere that they can look at? Whether that's a scribe with a step-by-step screen recording, whether it's you give them what we call a Bible and tell them to go and figure it out, or you sit with them and train them, having that fallback of those systems and processes. It's a lot of information to take on board when you're new in a company. It's the same when you take on a new client. There's always lots of nuances in every client that you need to learn and understand. Now, having that as a system, if they could give you a Bible and go, okay, this is how we do our process. This is our credit control process. This is our sales process, whatever it may be. How much easier would that be for you to take on that contract, to take on that client, if that is the way it would be done? If everyone just systemized everything, it would be so much more easier, efficient, and the same across every client. Communication boundaries matter too. How clients contact you, more importantly, when you respond to them, and what counts as urgent. I think this is one of the biggest mistakes I made when I started ABCS UK. I made myself too available. WhatsApp me at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. I'll reply within an hour. Email me on a Sunday afternoon. I'm probably going to reply to you within an hour. Because for me as a business owner, having that high level of service and making sure my clients are getting that 5-star service was so important to me. However, I have working hours. So unless it's urgent, it needs to be responded to within working hours, because if not, you just burn out. And if you don't define the communication boundaries with the client, they're going to decide it for you. And it's normally way more than you're willing to give. It's way past your own boundaries. Task management is another big one. Whether you've got a digital tool, a CRM, a simple to-do list, a notebook, whatever it needs to be, work needs to live somewhere other than in your head. As I said, that's one of the biggest downfalls I see in businesses, is that when you're running on your own or you're running on a small team, no one knows what's inside your head. You know your clients better than anyone. So when you take on staff, when you do start to grow and scale, having it all in your head means it's even harder to train them. It was one of the biggest mistakes I made taking on an employee. I had everything in my head. I thought I'd started writing down my systems, but it wasn't enough. And that meant that because I was so busy running a business, I'd taken on a staff member because I needed more capacity. I actually had less capacity because part of my capacity was spent teaching this employee. It just didn't work. And that's because I didn't have systems and processes in place. And for the bit that people often miss, and probably one of my favorites, is having systems for better decision making. Systems aren't just about doing the work, they're about deciding. When you've got clear numbers, I know, I've got to say that, I'm an accountant and a bookkeeper, defined processes and documented expectations, you make decisions faster and with less emotion. And as a business owner, taking the emotion out of it is going to really help you grow and scale your business. Having those clear numbers, as I talk about all the time, that data helps you make an informed decision. Less likely to fail, less likely to fall, less of a risk. Defined processes mean that things are standardized, more efficient, and you're not missing anything. And documented expectations just mean that there's a standard that's kept the same across all areas of your business. That's how businesses grow calmly instead of chaotically and more sustainably. A word of warning though, do not spend Q1 building systems you don't need. You don't need 17 new apps. You don't need automation everywhere. You don't need perfection before progress. Start with the friction points. What I mean is, what's the bits that are the sticky points in your business? What are the bits that either slow you down the most or stress you out the most? They're where you need to start with systems and processes. And when I say a system and process, it can simply be that you are writing down in a Word document how your procedure flows, how your customers buy, how your sales procedure works, how your onboarding would look in an ideal world. Systems should support your business, not become another full-time job. And it could literally be that you set aside one afternoon a week or an hour a week to write down a process, or you go along every single time you do a process, you write that down. And then every time you go back and do that same process, you just check that everything is in there. Because it doesn't need to be a whole job and it doesn't need to be overwhelming. I think you need to break it down in the way that works best for you. Like I say, either a task at a time or setting aside a time in your diary, part of your CEO time when you review your KPIs and review your numbers, you put another area of your business into an SOP, standard operating procedure, or a document just to get started. And then every time you get there, you can start building them out, making them more detailed, adding bits, taking away bits. You'll be able to see then where your inefficiencies are as well. I think writing down your systems and processes, although they are an exercise that takes time to do so, you get to see where you are not making sense anymore, where you are missing out on those hours, minutes, seconds, things that could be quicker, easier, more streamlined and efficient, and therefore more profitable if your systems and processes. So you could do something on this computer and then it has to be sent over to this person to sign it off, and then it has to go back to this person. Does it really need to go to this person, or can it go straight from 1 to 3, and therefore you're cutting out the middleman, the delay in getting the approval, the delay in actually getting the task into the correct person's hands and completing that task? So as we enter the second month of Q1, let's ask yourself, do I know what's happening with my money? If the answer's no, book a discovery call with me at ABCS UK. Take 15 minutes out of my diary, make yourself a coffee, and we'll see where we can help you. As a reminder, do I know what's happening with my money? Do my clients know what to expect? Do I have a clear way to manage work? And do I have visibility without overwhelm? January isn't about perfection, it's about preparation. If you found this episode useful, please do like, rate and review wherever you are listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, press subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really helps this podcast get into the ears of business owners who need to hear it. You can find links, resources and ways to work with me in the show notes, or find us on social media at ABCS UK. And I will see you next week for episode 149. Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. I hope you found it useful and that you're walking away with some motivation, inspiration, or education to help you build a better business. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course connect with us on social media for more insights, tips, and behind the scenes content. Your next step in building a better business is just a click away. I can't wait to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.